Our next speaker, Deepak Maini, is the National Technical Manager for Cadgroup Australia. And once again, I'd like to, on behalf of the organisers, acknowledge them as our support sponsor. The topic to be discussed, automated to advanced clash detection, a step towards delivering fully coordinated construction models. Deepak is many things, award-winning international speaker, a top-selling author. He's based in Sydney. He's also a qualified mechanical engineer. And his books on the technologies used in the building construction industry are top sellers in their categories and are used by dozens of universities all around the world, the States, United Kingdom, here in Australia, France, Italy, Germany, and onwards. He's currently the National Technical Manager at Cadgroup and also a guest lecturer at the University of Technology, Sydney, and the University of New South Wales. Deepak, great to have you here. Can we hear you?
Thanks, Timothy. Thanks for the fantastic introduction. I really appreciate that. I reckon you know more about me than I know about myself.
Fantastic. Well, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks. I will share my screen. So hopefully you guys are able to see my screen now.
Yes, perfect.
Fantastic. All right. I want to quickly start with, first of all, saying thank you to the Technology and Construction Summit people for giving me this opportunity. Anybody who knows me knows that I absolutely love to talk at conferences and share my views with the rest of the world. Following on the two fantastic talks we have had this morning, it's going to be hard to do anything better than what these guys have done. The panel discussion with Rebecca and Dom and the other people was fantastic. But I reckon my take from this morning definitely was the comment that Simon made in one of his slides, that acceleration is the new constant. That resonates with me so much. So I reckon I'm going to take that. I might actually steal that that statement as well, if it's okay with Simon. So talking about my presentation today, my presentation is all about pre-construction and how we can take the right steps to deliver fully coordinated construction models. So my name is Deepak Maini. I think a lot of people already know me, but just in case you don't, I'm the National Technical Manager at a company called Cadgroup Australia. Cadgroup is a technology provider for the AEC industry and the manufacturing industry. So whether it's hardware, software, augmented reality, virtual reality, we are your technology provider for that. What I want to do is, because I've got limited time in this presentation, I want to start with some numbers in the construction industry. And these numbers are absolutely mind-boggling. The first I want to start with are the problem that the design coordination today faces. Did you know that the unclear communication lines between teams costs construction industry over $15 billion in rework? So $15 billion in rework costs just because of unclear communication lines. Out of these $15 billion, 55% claims are due to inaccurate field data. And this is all based on the Construction Institute report. 55% claims are due to inaccurate field data. The concept is, let's say I'm a mechanical contractor or a tradie. I go on site, I need to install my ductwork. But as soon as I go on site, I see that instead of the place where I need to install my ductwork, I've got some hydraulics pipe already sitting there, or I've got a beam cutting across that I can't really run my duct. So all this is because of inaccurate field data. As I said, 55% claims are because of that. And in all honesty, the problem is basically where a lot of BIM coordinators still use Navisworks. And anybody who knows me knows I absolutely love Navisworks. It is fantastic when it comes to clash detection. So fantastic when it comes to clash detection, but not as good when it comes to clash management. So let's say Dom was talking about one of the projects that I was involved in, and we run some clashes. There's a clash between steel work and ductwork. We send the information to the mechanical consultant, and they need to fix the problems. And moving those ducts, they can't move all of them. There's some other constraints, or there are some other issues because of which they can't move it down. So then they have to inform us about that. Now, how do they do that? They have to provide the information either in an email or provide the information in the same Navisworks file or a different Navisworks file. So going back and forth with the information is the challenge in Navisworks. That's where Navisworks has really struggled. And 6 months down the line, you do not know which file had the right information. Where do I find the right information? So there is no single source of truth when it comes to all this information that you require on a project. So that's where it causes so much of confusion, and not to mention all the frustration between all the different teams. And obviously it leads to all these dramas on site where we come up with designs and we have to, if we are trade on site, we have to do our work. We can't just sit there to get the right information. And as I said, it leads to all these dramas. So this is the funny one that I've found on the internet. I don't know if it's real or not, or somebody just photoshopped it, but I found it really funny. So not having the right coordination on the project actually causes all these dramas. And obviously we can't blame the trade on site, because they're just looking at the information that they've got available, whether drawings or on their tablet devices, and then they're doing their job. So you obviously can't blame them. So the question then is, what is the solution? The solution is an automated clash detection process, which is powered by an end-to-end issue management system. So the key here is automated clash detection and the end-to-end issue management system. This is where comes into picture model coordination. Model coordination is a module that sits inside BIM Collaborate or BIM Collaborate Pro solutions by Autodesk. So model coordination is a module that helps you work with the design, the BIM data sitting on the cloud, which could be Revit files, which could be IFC files coming from programs like Revit or Tekla Structure or ArchiCAD and so on, which could be 3D DWG files and so on. So you could run these automated clashes between all these files and get the information without running the actual coordination meetings. So without waiting for 2 weeks to run coordination meetings, you could actually look at all the clashes with other discipline models. So what does actual model coordination module do? It automates the clash detection process on the models in your nominated coordination spaces. So let's say we are working on this cloud-based project, like what Dom mentioned in his previous talk, where most of the designs are now sitting on the cloud. But there's a work in progress model, a work in progress folder where we have got our work in progress files. Then we can also create a folder where we share our designs with the rest of the teams. We can nominate that folder as our coordination space. And what model coordination then does is it runs the clashes between all the models sitting inside the coordination space automatically. It shows you this metrics of all the clashes. You can easily review clashes without waiting for coordination meetings every fortnight or whatever it is. And you can start resolving some of these basic problems. Most importantly, you can filter and group clashes. And my favorite, you can mark clashes as non-issues for clashes that you know would not really happen. So for example, valid penetrations. Maybe you decide not to model penetrations on your project, or at that stage of the project, you have decided not to model penetrations. So you can then create or convert those clashes into non-issues. And this is my favorite part of it, because whenever it comes to clash detection, I always tell people that fully coordinated model does not mean clash-free. It does not mean clash-free. It means clashes detected, reviewed, and approved. So yes, we found the clash between the slab and some of these elements penetrating through it, but then we have decided to not model penetrations. As a result, we can convert those clashes into non-issues. It's also powered by an end-to-end issue management system. Now, the reason I call it as end-to-end issue management system is because you can take clashes and you can assign those clashes as issues to the individuals or roles or companies that need to fix it. Now, once you have assigned these issues to those individuals, roles, or companies, those issues can then be downloaded in programs such as Navisworks, or even in authoring tools such as Revit. So if Revit is the authoring tool of choice for the project, then you can download those issues inside Revit and you can take action on those issues. But most importantly, you can also change the status of those issues after you have reviewed and actioned those clashes. And then you can look at the detailed summary of those clashes and the issues associated with them inside the model coordination module. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I'm the person who loves live demonstration. Plus, it's the conference about technology in construction. So I actually want to show you live demonstration of this as well. Let me switch over to my Google Chrome window. So currently I'm in my Google Chrome window in the model coordination module. I have nominated a folder as my shared folder as my coordination space. That folder has got all these different files, models, and views, and it's showing me this clash matrix of all these. Now, on some of the larger projects, especially the healthcare projects and so on, this matrix could actually grow as a massive table. And this is where we could actually go and filter these clashes based on the models or views that we want to look at. So let's say in my case, I only want to look at clashes between mechanical and structure. So I'm going to pick these two. I'll hit apply. What it now does is it now filters the clashes automatically. So I'm not doing anything. It is filtering it automatically and saying that if grouped by mechanical elements, there are 354 clashes. And if grouped by structural elements, there are 164 clashes. Now, because mechanical elements are the ones that I'm going to modify, I'm going to click on this group here. So the program now goes and federates the mechanical and structure model and excuse me, and shows me the clashes here. So now in here, it's telling me the total number of clashes, not the groups anymore. I can now go and review these clashes. But most importantly, as I mentioned earlier, I can go and click on, let's say, this element here. So this slab is clashing with 7 elements. I could actually now convert this into non-issue. So I can click on non-issue and I can go and say these are, let's say, penetrations. And for reason, I could go and say that these are valid penetrations. And I can add a comment here that at this stage of the project, we are not modeling penetrations. And as soon as I go and say, okay, here, it now actually ignores those clashes. So I can look at the remaining clashes. Similarly, I can go and click on these elements here. And I can also go and ignore these clashes and say these are, let's say, valid penetrations. Now, the really cool thing is, although I have ignored these clashes right now, but later on in the project, when we decide to model penetrations, I can actually go and restore these clashes so we can then review them as well. And now I can concentrate on real clashes on my project, which in this case are all these ductwork and all the other related duct stuff clashing with the structural steel. Let's start with this particular clash here. So I can see here that this duct is clashing with all these different beams. So a really cool thing is I can click on this duct here. And as soon as I click on it, the program now automatically groups all these 5 clashes and it selects them. Now I could go and say that this actually is a problem. But before I do that, I could actually go and define a tolerance for my clash. So let's say at this stage of the project, we decide that if the clash is within 10 mil, we can ignore it. So I could go and say 10 mil tolerance here, enter. As soon as I do that, instead of now showing me 382 clashes, it's now reduced them to 356 clashes. So again, a really cool way to say, all right, at this stage of the project, we are working with 10 mil tolerance or 20 mil tolerance and so on. And as you progress through the project, you can actually start reducing this number here. So even the automated clashes can work with the tolerance values here. So going back to this particular duct, I'm going to pick this. It now picks 5 clashes. And now I can say that this actually is a problem. I'm going to click on issue here. It says, how do you want to place the issue pin? I can spin the model around and I can say I want to place the issue pin somewhere here. And the whole idea is that the pin is placed on that duct element. And this is the orientation, which means that when I'm looking at this issue, this is the view that I'm going to look at it from, makes it easier for me to review the clashes. It is currently assigned to this user. I can go and define a due date. I'll say this is due by next Tuesday. I can also go and define location if my project had locations defined. But most importantly, I can go and define root cause. Now, in case of root cause, the whole idea is I can go and define a root cause for this particular issue. And the program gives me the insight page, which is like my project homepage, on which I can display different dashboards. And these dashboards can show me all the different information that I need to look at in my project. And one of the information or one of the cards that I can display on my dashboard is issues by root causes. So the whole idea is I can then display all the issues by their root causes, which means that I can concentrate on the root cause that is causing most problems on my project, which means that if I need to organize trainings for my team or whatever it is, I could organize that. So in this case, that's a design coordination issue or root cause. And in here, I can go and define the details of how much I need to move these elements down by. If I don't know how much I need to move these elements down by, I also have the measure tool here where I can go and measure the distances between, let's say, the elements here or the elements here and so on, and go and pick how much I need to move these down by. Let's in this case, I'll go and say, move down by 220. I'll go and say create. So now as soon as I click create, that user who this issue was assigned to automatically gets a notification. And my total number of clashes have reduced here as well, because those or that particular clash, we have assigned that as an issue. Now, the best part is this is where the end-to-end issue management system is really handy. If I'm working with Revit, and if Revit is the software of choice for this project, I can now download that issue inside Revit. So if I hit refresh button here, I'll go and say refresh or reload. It now reloads all the issues. Excuse me. And now I can see this issue number 12. And the really cool thing is, as soon as I click on this issue number 12, the program would open the 3D view on which that issue was created. It would then even go and highlight the element or select the element that the issue was placed on, or issue pin was placed on. And I can now go and look at the description here to see what do I need to do. But most importantly, if I go under attachment, the program also attaches a screenshot. So if I resize this issues panel here, I can look at the screenshot here to see what the actual clash looked like based on the orientation of the issue pin that we placed. Let me change it back. I'm going to close this. So now I can go back to details, and now I can start taking the action. So let's say if I need to move this down by whatever that value, let's say 220. So I could go and change this to, let's say, 4.15. And as soon as I press enter, I can see that the element now updates. Now, when the element is updated, I can straight away go and change the status of this issue here. If I go and change the status to answered, I can add the description here. So let's say issue updated. You will see the changes in the next share. I'll go and say done. So now I change the status of the issue from inside Revit. And as soon as I change the status, the person who initiated the issue automatically gets a notification. And when they go into the Chrome window in model coordination, and when they go into the issues, as soon as they hit the refresh button, they can actually see the status of the issue updated here. So this is the end-to-end issue management system that I was talking about. And once the new package is shared, they can then click on the issue to see whether it has been resolved or not. And if it has been resolved, they can close the issue. So for example, let's say we have this issue that was changed to answered. If I click on this issue here, it now again opens the model, federates the two models together and shows me the issue. If the issue is resolved, it would change the status of the elements to the model color. But if it is not resolved, it will still show me these clash colors. If I look at the attachments, so the original attachment showed the clashes between these 5 elements. Looks like the clashes with 4 elements have been fixed, but there's a clash with 1 element still there. So what I could do is I could change the status of this back to open. I could add the description here. Let's say move it further down by 35. I'll go and say done. So the status of issue number 11 changed to open again. And if I go back into Revit and quickly hit refresh, we can see that the issue number 11 is changed back to open. And I can go and look at the activity, and I can see what was the last comment here. So this is the end-to-end issue management system that we've got available inside our program. And that's pretty much my time here. I had this time. I'm glad I was able to show you all these things. As I said, it's the technology conference, and I love showing all the live demonstrations of the software. So I hope you found it useful.